Now you find out what's really happened. I mean, those at the top are always able to insulate themselves from the consequences of their own decisions, because they're on the gravy train, and all they can figure out how to do is make more gravy for themselves with lots of crumbs for everybody else. Yeah. And that's what's happening. And when people don't vote, they know. We all know that it's a ripoff. I mean, how do you explain an organization called Congress that increases its pay $40,000 when its biggest achievement was to increase the debt by $400 billion? What do they get? A certain amount of money for every dollar they take from your future? See, they come up with a great idea. The idea is to reduce the taxes on the rich and then to borrow money from them and make you pay the interest. Think about it. Wasn't that clever? That's what happened in the 80s. They cut the taxes on those at the top, but they still got their money, but instead of taking it from them in the form of taxes, they borrowed it from them and made you, through the payroll tax, FICA, pay the interest to those same people who used to just give it in their income tax. What a ripoff! Yeah, financial barriers. See, what's happening is the economy, it's incredible what's going on out there. The presidential politics is a big gong show, which is about privilege and about hypocrisy and about blaming everybody except those responsible. You know, they keep saying it's not the injustice and the poverty and the lack of jobs, it's the attitude. They got an attitude problem down there. There's no jobs, there's no work, you got a crack dealer on every corner. What's wrong with your attitude? Because it's that kind of baloney that fosters the screen over the injustice. And I don't see people in Beverly Hills rioting. I don't see people in Pacific Heights or Park Avenue. And I've been down there to East LA and South Central Los Angeles. And I know what happened. What happened is that tens of thousands of good-paying jobs were exported. They were exported to Mexico and low-wage countries so that they could be exploited, as well as the Americans who lost their jobs. It's a double exploitation, and it's not right. Send them a message that you don't like what they're doing. These people who, you know, they live in their glass houses, and they make decisions. You know, we got this trade treaty that they're all pushing to move jobs even faster to Mexico. And if you want to look at what's going on here, the lowering of wages. I've just been through 5 airports. I've been asking people who are the security guards, how much do you make? One made $4.25, no benefits. Another person made $4.90. Another made $5, been there 3 years. These are people who are in their 40 and 50 years of age, have to support a family. What does Quayle say about that? You see, it's a diversion. What's happening is that you have a global economy that allows money and technology and jobs to go anywhere. And the principle that Quayle stands for is that if you can pay less, go there. And it doesn't matter whether you disrupt the community, whether you kill jobs, you abandon cities. It's okay, because the new closet dictator is the market. And if the market says go to Tijuana and hire 14-year-old teenagers to do the work that used to pay Americans $10 or $12 an hour, it's okay. But look what happened. You go to Tijuana, you got people living in shacks, they don't have paved streets, they got sewage problems, you got pollution in the beaches on both sides of the border, and the wages are so low that the turnover is horrendous, and people have to come across the border and get a real job. So it isn't working for Mexico, and it's not working for America. It's only working for the multinational corporations and their frontmen like Quayle, who are concentrating wealth in impoverishing people. It's not right. Take it back. Take it back for America. They know that under the provisions of the treaty, their jobs are totally safe. They get to raise their pay whenever they want. But people who work in ordinary jobs, they don't. And the trouble with that is that as you lower the wages, you lower the ability of the community to take care of itself. You lower the ability of people to pay taxes, to support their families, to have a decent life. And so what you have now is this situation of the world where you have hundreds of millions of people who are coming up from a pretty disadvantaged situation where they'll be glad to work for $1 an hour. These are third world standards. They're not good, but we have to recognize something, that if we have an absolute level playing field where as many jobs as possible that can be moved to countries that pay $1 an hour, then that is the target wage which will start pulling down and is American wages. And it won't stop with just factories. It'll go to businesses and everything else. You see, I mean, you could even move the airlines to Mexico City and start paying the flight attendants half of what they're getting now. You have a pressure, downward pressure on wages to equalize the conditions that prevail outside in the global economy. But the problem is the sacrifice is not distributed equally, because the people at the top are doing better than ever. The top 1%, as the Federal Reserve Board has pointed out, have now accumulated almost $6 trillion in assets. 90% of everybody else in this country, that's 225 million people, have about $1 trillion less, all put together. And so what you have is an incredible concentration of wealth that has no historic precedent.
Take it away!
Yeah. Now how do you do that? How do you do that? The man says take it away. The problem is that the 1% who have been able to insulate themselves from this downward pressure on wages, this is the group that controls politics. Yeah, it does. I don't care whether it's the Bush campaign or the Clinton campaign. The money comes in $1,000 checks. Comes in political action committee money. That's what it's all about. Even in your Senate race, are people running around giving speeches? They're on the telephone, dialing for dollars, accumulating enough money to buy time on the public airwaves to manipulate the 45% who are going to turn out to vote. Because the other 55% know it's empty and meaningless, and it won't make a dime's worth of difference who wins, because the top 1% are buying it like so many bars of soap. And until you challenge that, you don't get anywhere. That's why I'm still in this campaign. You don't even have to believe in the candidate. This is why the $1,000 fundraising is so good these days. You can believe the candidate is completely out of it. But you know that if you go to a dinner party and the house is worth $5 million and everybody there paid $1,000, it's a self-validating experience. Everybody knows they've arrived, because you couldn't arrive unless you had the $1,000. You wouldn't have the $1,000 unless you're making several hundred grand a year. So it is like a little world of elite deviant behavior. That's what it is. That unfortunately is the commonplace of American politics of both parties. That's how it works. It works because whoever gets the most money, gets the most commercials, generally wins. Because what you know about a candidate is what you hear in his commercial. And if you see a candidate walking along the beach with his dog and smiling at the waves, you know he's for the environment. Even though Monsanto paid for the ad. Or something like that. And it's that crazy. I don't exaggerate. In fact, I'm understating it. It's almost like the people who work in the prisons now in California. What if you lowered the crime rate? You'd have a bunch of prison guards who wouldn't have anything to do. So you got to keep the crime rate up to keep the prison guards working. That's why you got to keep the nuclear power submarines going, even though the war is over. Because there's no economic conversion strategy, because that interferes with free enterprise. And the only thing allowed to interfere with free enterprise is the Pentagon, which has been responsible for 1 out of 5 jobs for the last 40 years. And if we're going to reduce those jobs, we got to have another strategy. And it's called investing in energy efficiency and renewable technology and the environment and high-speed trains. There's nothing that can't be done. The only thing holding us back is the way the process works. It's designed to make you feel it doesn't make a difference. It's designed to get into did he or didn't he? Who did he do it with? You know, all that kind of gossip stuff. And they get away from the central issue of power, who controls the major decisions. And that's why I bring it back to the simple notion that the global economy is now disrupting the community, the family, the environment. And it's traveling under the banner of unlimited market, free enterprise, get out of the way, you bureaucratic, red tape, mafia thugs. I mean, that's kind of the way they look at it. But another way to look at it is the common good. The common good expressed through the public sector in decent rules like the Endangered Species Act, like the Clean Air Act, like giving energy incentives for the kind of alternatives I'm talking about, like shifting from 281 billion military and cutting that in half as we could. And I'm for that. We can cut it in half and we can accomplish it in 5 years. That's what we're talking about. Okay. Hey, look, that's it. I just want to thank you for being out.